Good morning. How are we doing? Let's get the chat up. Excellent. Straight in with it. Wait a minute. Just need to get this out of the way of that. Hi guys. I've been reattaching the flow state over the weekend and the Stephen Kotler among other, and it's a little different than the inner game, but a lot of crossover, very good stuff. Excellent. Yeah, there's like lots of patterns that you will find amongst these reads. And thank you for the recommendation, Tim. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that we want, really, isn't it? Because, you know, at the end of the day, there's only so much information, like in terms of learning production skills, learning guitar stuff, you know, scales, techniques, that kind of thing. And I think we just need another way to like self-manage ourselves on top of that. Yeah, just to keep things real. And I think, you know, being in a flow state is amazing. And, you know, the stuff that we hear from In a Game of Music and we hear from Stephen Kotler, excellent. I mean, Rise of Superman's a brilliant book. I really enjoyed that. Read it twice. I don't know how many times I've been through In a Game. It's like a reference book to me. So whenever I'm really like stressed about something or practice, I'll reach for the In a Game, or if I feel like really overwhelmed, it's a good thing, you know. And that's and that's something I get is, you know, I've never really had that on guitar. But I have had the overwhelmed thing, and it's both a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it's great to have all these ideas and things that you want to do. Like, you want to do everything and you want to quickly grab them now and they all seem relevant. That's what I go through. But I can't, like, there's a bottleneck. I can only grab at one idea first and actually do anything with it. So, I haven't actually got a presentation. This is technically our final habits week this month, and next month we start. So next Monday we're going to start environment for a month, and we'll be faffing about every Monday with our environments. So good to see you on here, Stelly. All right, so I have severe ADHD, and the same reason I started music also restricts me from getting focused. Yeah. Oh, and there's Sean. All right. So I wonder if has anybody been, you know, it's okay if you haven't, but if you found these sessions like really helpful, I wonder if anybody here, I wonder if you've got your minimum viable commitment, if you found sort of like me talking about the habits on the Mondays a good thing. I mean, I'm going to keep going regardless because it's helping me, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I'm hoping everybody's like, yeah, habits, let's have a go at this. I'll start, you know, setting myself up and getting that guitar out and practicing it more regularly. And I'm going to, you know, because at the bottom line, I think if there was just like one thing, you know, that you have to do, and I suppose that's, you know, the minimum viable commitment. You know, having a minimum viable commitment and just experimenting by placing that at different points during the day is probably, you know, a good move. And I think the why I think that is because it takes the pressure off you. If you've got a really low minimum viable commitment, then there's not much of a commitment there, isn't it? And you're more likely to turn up and do the thing that you're wanting to do. But I think, like, you know, these kind of things are particularly important, especially for, I'm not saying we're old, right? But for our, you know, for grown-up musicians, like, who have, you know, jobs. I mean, I'm lucky I have a job doing music, but still, it's not always my agenda. But, you know, we have jobs, we have children. I mean, I just have one, right? Like one daughter. Come on. It's hard work, isn't it? So doing anything, hats off to anybody when you've got, especially teenagers. Seriously. I mean, what can I say? I mean, it's not too bad now, but God, it's work. Anyway, so we've got, so minimum viable commitment, turning up to that, doesn't seem to be a lot of pressure, and I think that's a very, I don't think, I know that's a good thing. That'll get us part of the way there. And then the other thing just to think about with habits for me, as a very short breakdown of it, is that you attach that minimum viable commitment to something else that you do every day. So for me, getting up in the morning, I do every single day. So it makes sense to like come here and do my live stream. It's automatic. I don't realise I'm here. There's a particular routine, switching the lights on, walking around the circle, going upstairs, putting the kettle on, going upstairs, go to the toilet, weigh myself, brush my teeth, come back down, or have a shave, come back down, finish setting this up, and then I'm on live, So, that routine is really, really important. But also we want to be, pretty much goal focused on this as well. We want to have an idea of what we want to do. When we sit down, we don't necessarily want to be noodling, because that can happen during the day. What I'm talking about, our minimum viable commitments, are really tackling the heavy lift of our music goals. So, it's like, I really need to upgrade my legato. I really need to do something about that. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, very important. Sean, I did actually send you a message on Discord, and I thought of you because the Brett Garsted book is now up for sale on Amazon, and I bought it. So I've got it. In fact, it's arriving today, so I'm really excited about that. Now, I know I can do a little bit of legato, but you never, ever, ever stop learning. And there's particular reasons why I'm interested in his style of legato, of an interest to me. But I mean, the thing is with Brett, right, is I really like the way that he combines his hybrid picking with his scale playing and arpeggios, and I really like his chromaticism's amazing. So I'm hoping there'll be a bit of chromatic ideas. In fact, I got so excited yesterday. I just spent a little bit of time going through. There was a little Levi Clay transcription of one of his solos off his, I think it's off an REH video back in early 90s. And it did have some nice little chromatic bits in, which I learned. I mean, what you say these days is, which I transcribed, but it was already transcribed for me. So I just went through it. But, you can say I transcribed it. But it just means you sat in front of YouTube and learned it and didn't write anything down. That's what I did. So, so I just went through and I just quickly picked a couple of excerpts and had a mess about it, and I'll show you them actually. I mean, Enzo will probably say something in the chat now, highly recommending him. But he's a fusion player. He's the guy who inspired a lot of the players like Tom Gwaile, Greg Howe. I mean, it was actually a guitarist who I've known for years, quite good, who I bumped into about not that long ago, not even a year ago. And he went, "Oh, you need to hear Brett Garsted." And I thought, all right, okay, I'll remember that. And then I watched some of his stuff and thought, oh yeah, that's really good, There you go. The moment we think we have it nailed is when we start to slip on the technique, because it must be a constant. Very good. Greg Howe, yeah. Oh, yeah, and Greg Howe as well. So, like, Brett Garsted was like, he's he's the guy who came first. Oh, and there's Hank. Hi, Hank. How you doing? Yeah, so Enzo also, was in there as well. So Enzo recommended some listening, because then I didn't know, like, I knew Brett Garsted had been in John Farnham as a session player. And I was thinking, oh, that's kind of pop music. I need to hear some shredding. And then luckily, Enzo came in and pointed me in the correct direction of where the shred stuff is. So Uncle Mo's Ranch, really good. In fact, I'll tell you what you can do. There's an MIT performance of Brett Garsted and TJ Hemrick playing at MIT. So that's pretty good. It's, I always like to see the players doing the thing live. But I think the reason that I got more into the Brett Garsted is because I was doing a lot of left hands only stuff, and I play like a lot of acoustic guitar during the day, and like you just can't do left hand all day long. It's like your fingers are like, I'm wearing them out. So I need to think of some way to kind of give it a little bit more oomph. So I brought the pick in, but that's okay. But then you still get a little bit of pick, and it wasn't quite as smooth. So I wanted something as a midpoint between pick legato and left hand only. So obviously you start getting into hybrid, and Brett's the guy for that. So that's pretty cool. Excellent. Yeah, you remember the VHS? Yeah. So I mean, I never saw him the first time round. Probably because it wasn't Racer X when I was little, and I was like, oh no, I want like just shred. What do I need? Why do I need notes that are out of tune? It'll have been like that, Dad. Why is he playing wrong notes? Why is he saying it's good to play wrong notes? That's what it'll have been like. So I was only interested in the notes that were in tune. So there's another thing I kind of missed out at a young age. Never mind. The other thing was economy picking, watching Frank and then going, right, so Frank's telling me that I have to have 4 notes to turn round. Well, I'm not doing that. That's functional maths. You do that at school. I'm here to rock, not to do functional maths. So, yeah. The brain of a child, seriously. I've been wanting to see that MIT performance. Thanks for reminding. Good. Yes, get that one today. That has to be ticked off on the list. Greg Howe had a VH with the taxi guy. Yes, I remember that. It's old stuff, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you like? Right. So I wasn't that keen on the Greg Howe one. I thought I mean, obviously he's a great player, isn't he? But it was just a little bit ear piercing, and the humour was a bit forced. I don't think he had to do that. I know Paul Gilbert did his kind of humour on his one, and it was quite funny at the time. But, just want to get to the licks, man. I talked to Marshall Harrison. I think he studied with Garsted. Right. Well, yeah, I mean, both of them are absolutely God. Like, Marshall's absolutely awesome. I mean, he's like a total Shaolin monk of guitar playing and music, isn't he? I mean, he's just absorbing everything. It's quite incredible watching him. I actually paid tribute to Paul Gilbert. I did a video with the Traffic Bracket. Brilliant. Yeah. I love that Screaming Blues or Mania track. It's funny because when my teacher turned me onto Gambale book, he never focused on the picking technique, but it was probably because we couldn't always watch his videos like we can now. Cool. Except they've all been taken down. You have to go on his course. I remember the green screen down in Mexico song, brilliant. Yeah, I mean all of that's great, isn't it? So big, yeah. I was a big Paul Gilbert fan, the Racer X kind of stuff. But you see, like I went very shortly after the I kind of jumped from the rock onto grunge. That's what happened to me. I jumped ship into it. I didn't keep going with the shred. I got into all kinds of weird. That's when I started doing music production. Really, I was starting to do the band indie crossover with electronic stuff. Yeah, now Bruce Bulliett doesn't get enough mention, does he? Because he is absolutely super good. I mean, he's good. And actually, when I think about the Racer X Extreme Volume 1, his solo on that was like, amazing. And I've watched some of his videos as well, and him doing his Racer X melody, and he's just so like professionally tight, isn't he? Scott Henderson was good as well. Yeah, Scott. Believe it or not, like as a kid, I got through that. Scott Henderson, Extreme Volume 1 and 2. I didn't get 2 actually till much later on in life, but very good. My daughter likes it actually. Josh, I'm a big Joe Satriani. Yeah, I mean Joe Satriani's great as well, and I had my phases of Satch Boogie and Midnight and all of that. Yeah, great. So brilliant, yeah. So habits, minimum viable commitment, doing that. So I hope everybody's sort of been doing, because you turned up here, so I'm just assuming that everybody's like kind of looking for has dialed in their minimum viable commitment and probably got a habit on the go, because that's super important. The other thing we talked about was purposeful and deliberate practice. I mean, for me, I try and focus on everything being a deliberate practice. I really want to just get to exactly what it is that I should be doing to get the maximum impact in my sessions, and that just means having a very, very clear aim and a very specific goal based on a problem that I'm actually experiencing. And that's the thing that's we don't want to be fixing problems that we're not experiencing, and I think this is like something where you can go wrong and completely in overwhelm. So this is like very, very important. Yeah, I only deal with the problems that I'm experiencing. Now, things that I've done where I've dealt with lots of problems that I haven't been experiencing have been definitely in the music production field, that I can clearly remember. I'm not so bad on guitar, though that's happened as well. I can got a few examples there. But in the sort of music production thing, using too many plugins, thinking I have to use like other plugins because if I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it right. Using techniques that I think that I've been told that I should be using, and I've been through all of the worst things with that, overloading templates, then just having basic like system overload in my head and completely not being able to do anything. So we've got to be, super, super careful there. I constantly tweak tone. You see, I'm very good about that. I actually have a process. It's a bit like mixing. So when I get my head down, actually, there's a couple of ways I build tones, right? There's like a practice tone, and then there's my live tone. So I'm not always on... so this is the way it goes. The two tones work like this. Usually, right, what I'll do, if I'm really like going to dial in a tone, I think, right, I need to get a good tone. So I use these headphones. These are the Stephen Slate VSX headphones, right? And basically they sort of work with this software which makes them binaural, and that software emulates, right, binaurally different famous studio environments. So I really like the Archon Studio. I think it's spelled that. And you have like a choice, and these headphones emulate NS10s, your sort of like mid-range monitors, and then your far-field monitors as well. So you've got 3 environments you can check in on. And what I'll do is I'll dial my sound in on like NS10s, okay, and then I'll kind of get them on, then test them out to see what they're on the big range and mid-range speakers as well. But essentially I'm dialing them in like basically a top quality studio. So that's what I'll do, and I'll treat my guitar sound as if I'm sort of like getting it to fit into a mix, almost. So I don't like super like high pass it and cut it and stuff like that, but I get it presentable. I sort of know where the fat is that needs to be sort of removed. So I do all of that. That's what I do. And this is the thing with the polychrome stuff, is it's absolutely geared up to do that. So that's how I do it. So Sean, have you got VSX? Yeah, you just sit in your expensive studio environment, VSX, and you mix your guitar tone, you put your guitar tone on. And Richie, if you're on the NS10s and you can come up with a sound that you're comfortable playing, it's going to be comfortable wherever you're playing pretty much. The other thing I'll do is, like, I don't want to practice my guitar with like headphones crushing my head in all the time. So the other part of this is, like, I normally do this with clean tones. So when I'm doing a practice tone, I'll just dial that in over my monitors. So totally inaccurate. That's like just a sound coming out of the monitors, and I'm dialing a guitar sound that sounds good in this room, but it's probably going to sound, shit everywhere else. So there's kind of two ways that I'll do things, and sometimes I want a high gain tone. I might tweak it just so it sounds good in the room, and not so much good recording. But my my sounds that I use live, they're all sort of dialed in basically with the process where I'm sitting in a studio environment and doing it that way, and all my polychrome tones are done sort of that way as well. So usually they'll pretty much fit into a mix, I suppose. Having said that, though, when you are mixing guitar tones, I never really reach for an EQ now to brighten or pull things away from it. I'll just go into the plugin and actually do it there. It's always the IR, which is the first port of call. So if you're ever in a situation where your guitar's not poking through a mix, right, or it's too profound in a mix, what I always suggest is just changing the IR. And of course, on the polychrome stuff, there's the you have the speaker voice as well. So if you can't quite find the correct speaker chain, then you can just modify it, which is super cool. Right, so has anybody got any questions on habits? Hi, Perplexity. So, as we're approaching next month, and we're going to be doing environmental stuff, I thought one thing I could do, and let me think if this is a useful idea. Obviously, like, I use a lot of third-party plugins which other people don't have, and because we're going to be doing music production stuff as well, do you think it would be a better move, right, if I just did pretty much, apart from my soft synth instruments and the polychrome, do you think people would prefer it if I just did Ableton Live plugins as much as I can? Because that's the thing, that's where I'm thinking at the minute. I have done that before, because we'll be building templates and things like that, and I'm going to show people like different ways you can do things. But I'm wondering if, instinct's telling me to do that, is not to use, SSL and things like that, because like it's it's another subscription. But actually, as we're into all things good free, like Ableton plugins are amazing. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. There we go, Stelly. I knew you'd have. Might be a good idea. Then everyone can add the plugins they have and like and want. I think it's a fabulous idea. So I'll not be doing it in my live stream setup, because that's just like sort of on lock at them. Well, I might do, but I'll be making a template studio template which I can show everybody and teach on, that will be all Ableton Live kind of stuff. Having said that, it would be a good challenge, wouldn't it, to look at my live set and see if I can do pretty much all of it in Ableton Live stuff. Could be a good thing. We could go into that mission. We just have to see. In fact, I think that would be a good experiment and something we could definitely do. I'm getting quite excited about that. So, the other part of what I was just wanting to briefly talk about today was just to do with habits, is just reinforcing a habit with addiction. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? Hence the title of today's stream. So, desire into addiction. That's it, because a lot of the time, we really just get like excited about what we're doing, and then life gets in the way, and then by the time we get to it, that enthusiasm is drained out of our body, and then we either go through the motions and then give up, or just don't bother at all and do something else, and then feel really bad about doing the thing. But has anybody got any thoughts on how they can get really excited about something? What sort of things can you do to create that addiction, that desire? Oh, look at that. There you go. If anybody wants drum strip or vocal strip, I can gift them. That's good. That's very helpful. So thanks in advance. I would, snap that up. The drum strip, vocal strip's very good. That's the SSL stuff, isn't it? Which I would recommend out of all the, third-party tools you can get. If you're going to get something and you want an EQ and a compressor, then the SSL stuff's brilliant. Doing a quick workout and listening to music prior to playing. Help. Fair enough. You're doing too much. Focus on one thing, and so, yeah. I never really never used it, and that, I used it and I thought this sounds pretty good, but then obviously it had latency on it, and then just didn't do it. So, any thoughts on making your desire into an addiction, into a positive addiction? I think for me, it's making things simple. It's like whenever I sort of rejig a template, I always get excited about that. It's just weird though, but as I develop the template, it always ends up back to the way I always have everything. So that definitely gets excited. I mean, I shouldn't mention consumerism, but one thing that I think is very cheap and reasonable is my sample freeze pedal. I think that's been absolutely brilliant. That's totally brought me back in the game of just playing and jamming without the pressure. Because, sometimes when we're saying like, oh, well, just practice with a backing track, but there are times where, you want to actually just play your guitar without a goal and just give out some love into the room, don't you? Just, express yourself. But you don't want the hassle of having to like plug, you don't want the hassle of starting to like fire up your door and start like getting drums up before you actually get to the guitar. So the sample, I got a TC sample freeze pedal, the Infinite, and that's been absolutely brilliant. I totally love using that. Just hit a chord, freeze the chord, play over it. Play another chord, freeze the chord, play over it, and as a practice routine, it's absolutely brilliant. Great way of doing things. So that's been really cool. And of course, just getting into various concepts, like for me, I mean, the worst thing for me is boredom. That's the thing that really like drives me absolutely nuts. Is when I get, especially with guitar playing, like I'll get bored and I can't, and then for a bit you can't see where you want to go with it, and then suddenly something happens, and then you're off again. And that's got me into all sorts of stuff. Economy picking, chromaticism's been the main one. Which reminds me, so I was talking about that earlier. It was the the Brett Garsted book. So I did have a little look through. See if this is on. I'll show you this little chromatic thing. There's two of them. What was the other one? Yeah. How you doing, Mac? So check this out. Just just simple, right? But very usable ideas. And I'll try and break them down why I like them. So the first one that I looked at was this. Little Brett Garsted riff. Now, what's good about that is it's in the natural minor. We've actually got the minor 6 that we're using, almost like a passing note, and it's got an interesting way where we're using the flat 5 and then going to the G, creating this minor 3rd thing, and then it quickly gets into a bit of pentatonic scale with some chromaticism. So there's absolutely, like, in this one little space, there's like tons of little things kind of coming into. Now, for my style of playing, I really like sort of big movement, yeah, and that's intentional. But I'm also starting to get into the Alan Holdsworth thing of where we're making things smaller, right? So smaller phrases that are linked together, or in other words, like different cells. And this is a really good example of cells, right? And the way it works is this. So the first bit of it is we're in E minor, okay? And that's the first bit. Now, I start this on a hybrid, and the reason I do that is it's really good practice just for getting the confidence in starting with your finger. I think a lot of the times you can start with the pick if you want, but it's good to be able to do hybrid as well. So I'm starting this with the hybrid, and then so the notes we're playing are 15, 14, 13, E minor, and then we have 4th finger on the D note on the 2nd string and back up to the 1st finger. So very typical pattern, isn't it? And then we'll finish it off just coming down the scale to the note B. So just a very simple. And of course, just this little thing here is you can work on sort of balancing your hybrid and your picking in terms of tone, because ideally we want the legato to be, the thing that we're hearing most, and we want the picking and the hybrid to blend in if we can. So my hybrid picking's like a brush. So that's the first bit. So I'm starting to practice it. So that would be good. That would be deliberate practice. Okay, trying to blend in, trying to get a similar tone out with the pick and finger in terms of its relationship with the legato. Trying to get all to blend. And then the next bit this is where it gets like a little bit interesting, because after we do this, we're going to play the flat 5. And we have this little configuration. So we have this now. So there's 2 little phrases there. And then finally, so after this flat 5 bit, we've got a pentatonic scale bit. You can play it either crossing your fingers. I watch Tom Quayle play this phrase quite a lot. And he'll always use sort of like second finger over third finger. That's more convenient. I was watching Brett do it, and he was just doing the bar. So we've got a 4th here. So we've got going from the E on the 4th string to the A, back to the E, and then finishing up on that G on the 3rd string. And then we've got a chromatic thing. And then he goes to actually the flat 6. But you could move it somewhere else if you wanted. If you don't need that avoid note. Whoops. So cool. But I suppose if we're in Dorian mode, doesn't matter because we don't have an avoid note. Anyway. That's the the first Brett Garsted lick. So there's about 3-4 components there, isn't there? There's like your little natural minor bit. There's the flat 5 bit. There's the pentatonic. And we've got the chromatic bit. See, it sounds great. Love it. And then there was one other one that, like, it's so small, it's nothing, but I thought it sounded like super cool over the backing track. And again, E minor thing, or, this would work in A Dorian. Hold on. Yeah, this is how I play it. So, for this one, we're basically similar pattern to here. Start with hybrid. We're going G, F sharp, E. And then that's a hybrid. And then we're picking on the 4th string on the 12th fret. Back up to the E. And then you just run down this section chromatically. And then to finish off, you go straight to the G, missing the A out. And those 2 notes just sound really cool on this. So, yeah, pretty cool. So that was like a couple of my Brett Garsted things where you're just using little sections, little snippets. Another cool thing about this chromatic thing here, this area of this like E minor scale, whether you're in Dorian or Aeolian, there's a nice little enclosure you can use. Oops. That kind of thing. So all of that kind of stuff sounds really good. Sorry to waffle on about guitar here, just I thought this was like amazingly insightful when I was learning them yesterday. And just doing that whole, fragment thing as well as your sort of big sort of runs. But yeah, I think like the next thing for me is just like, just focusing. I mean, I do it to a certain degree anyway, but really appreciating the smaller, tiny little licks, rather than thinking of the bigger licks, thinking in really small cells. So I'll be talking more about that. The other thing that you may have noticed as well is on the channel, I did put up a lesson. I wouldn't say a new lesson because the one before that was so old, but anyway, I've put a new lesson up, okay, just based on pentatonic scale, very foundational thing, but I thought I should do that because there's going to be another few videos based on pentatonic substitution, which is like really, really important. So catch that on, it's on there now, so if you get a chance, watch that. There's also going to be another lesson uploaded today, believe it or not. So I've got another lesson, and that's about chromaticism. So, for the more advanced players here, or, people who are just, if you're really interested in getting into the chromatic thing, this is a great starting point. And basically, I give you, what I cover is just using a G major 9 arpeggio 2-1-2 pattern, and then building into a 3-1-3, and then adding chromaticism to it. And then just telling you a few tips on how to go about sort of using it. But I thought that would be a good lesson that'll get people playing that sort of thing if you're not already straight away. So there's some good. It's just basically everything I wish I knew about that particular subject in one area. So it's there, and there'll be more to come like that. There aren't any chromatic enclosures in it. It's just your basic rock. It's like your rock approach to chromaticism, I suppose. But we'll be getting into the more kind of jazzier enclosures, which takes time to get in, but it's super cool when you get it there. Dorito, hi, how you doing? Good to see you. I don't think I've seen you on here for a while. I don't even know who they are. Right, this is the thing, right? The story of this top is basically in the town. We'll have, it's not there now, it's unfortunately shut, but there was an excellent vintage second-hand clothes vintage shop, right? And they had loads of these tops in, so I bought about 3 or 4 of them. I thought they're quite expensive, but they're really good quality. It's like almost like jacket-like material. So I picked up a few of them because I thought they're big, they're quite comfortable, and when it's down here in the winter, it gets quite cold, so they're ideal for streams. But I'm not a fan. I don't like. Is this American football? Is it? I think it's ice hockey. I think this top's ice hockey, but it's great because I can put my hands in here. They're warm. They can come out and I can play a guitar. And if I need to regulate my heat, body temperature, I can push my sleeves up. So it's very good. Michael Jordan went to. Oh right, or is it basketball? Do they wear this before they kind of go on or something like that? I've no idea. I don't really do sport, Dorito. So yes, there's lots of things to look forward to on the channel. So yes, so do check. The new lesson will be out. I'll put it up, I think this afternoon, about 1 o'clock. I'll do it at lunchtime. That'll be up. Have a listen to that lesson because I think it's a really good one. Okay. And there's going to be more content, you see. So what's been happening with this channel is we've done lots of live streaming, which I love doing. And as core, so everybody knows that we'll always be doing a Monday session, and that Monday session will always be something to do with coaching thereabouts, yeah. The Wednesday stream, vertical stream, usually, because it attracts lots of people in, that's more your performance, chill out, chat, but also it can be quite structured. And then I think there'll be, when I'm not, providing I get ahead with my content making schedule, then there'll be one sort of lesson during the week as well. So I'm going to try and get 3 in if I can. So there'll be a guitar lesson live, and there'll be some sort of music production thing. But what I am doing is I'm really kind of drilling down into making the content, because I've been doing loads of lives. I've now started just uploading the shorts, and I'm getting quite a bit of traction from that. So the next thing for me is just to like level up those two things. There's nothing in the content, and it's really bothering me. It looks really weird, you know. So when we've been talking about habits, I've been getting into the habit of actually making videos. That's what I've been doing, amongst other things this month. So that's been my main thing, and I've just decided. And it's like, it's like getting into the situation where we're doing conditions of success. I've applied it to something myself that I'm uncomfortable with, like to be perfectly honest, when I'm here on the live stream, after God knows how many streams, I'm quite comfortable talking to this camera now. But the thing is, it kind of feels easier because I know there's other people at the other end, and there's the chat, and, I can get distracted and we can go off on tangents and things like that, and that's all good. But vertical streams are brilliant for just making little tiny little shred videos, because I can just go through and cut them out and just upload them. So that's like just brilliant. But the content, whoa, God, talking to a camera, right? Talking to a camera when nobody's there, it's really difficult and really enlightening, because what it reminds me of is when I started getting into the cycle of really wanting to start releasing music. That's what I went through, and it's a great reminder to me about, what my coaching clients go through. When they're trying to restart and life's in the way and you're trying to do things and you're unsure, or you haven't made anything for like 10 years, and then you don't know where to start, and like the world's daunting, and you see all these young players doing amazing things, or producers doing incredible like mixes on the fly, and but and you want to get into that. This is a reminder of kind of all of those sort of barriers and hurdles I had to get over. So talking in front of the camera when nobody's there has been the main thing, and I've had to do so me being me, I've gone and done like a camera confidence course, which is brilliant. Do you recommend buying a used Kiesel Aries from Guitar Center to save money, half price off retail, 45 days return policy? Thinking of getting one, try it out. Kiesel brand, what do you think about this? Well, I think Kiesel are brilliant. So, Aries a really good guitar player. Thomas has one. So I would highly recommend, it's just a great way to get into it. Buy it secondhand and try it out and see what you think. I think that would be a brilliant. I think that's a very good, sensible idea to do. I wonder how much it's going for. But at least you can get it there and then try it out and see what you think of the feel of Kiesel. I used to play Ibanez, and then I didn't play properly for a while. I had a Gibson for years. And then I got a Strat, and then Thomas corrupted me into Kiesel, which was one of the best moves ever. It's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it's just a great way. Like, when you start getting into the custom builds and stuff, it's off the shelf, putting bits together. It's good. You can build something. You can build your dream guitar. Put it that way. In fact, I'll have to do some videos on the guitars. That'll be another thing I'll do. So, anybody got anything they want to talk about? Anybody want to talk about habits or guitar playing or anything like that? Yeah, so it's honestly right, yeah, because that's the other thing I need to do is level up sort of my camera performance in the room as opposed to my camera performance like on the lives. So like now it's just like, if you come round and if you came round Enzo and went, right, have a cup of coffee, let's chill. You know, it's like that kind of thing. So I have to keep reminding myself of that. But it's honestly, when you're doing content in front of the video, you might even think you're being like that, but then you come across there's a slight mismatch between me now and what's actually happening there. But then you can't like waffle on as much on a video as well. And I like to kind of, you know, deviate a bit, as you know. So there's like lots of like cool sort of things, you know, happening with that. But what string bending exercise do you recommend to improve your skill bends? 1-step bends, 2 notes. Yeah, all of that. So, like with me, my intonation goes because I'm like on an acoustic guitar, and then I come in, and then I haven't got a feel. But yeah. So what I'll do is, yeah, your typical two note bend, semitone bend, or you can do your Jason Becker. I like those bends. Steve Lukather bend. So, I mean, I don't particularly have any bending exercises, but you know, you can go up a scale, can't you? Apparently BB King doesn't put vibrato on his bends. I also do a lot of bending with my forefinger. I think it's like it syncs up nicely with my legato. I like slow bends as well. Bluesy bends, like those kind of microtonal bends are cool, aren't they? But I think the interesting thing is I'll have your vibrato and bends are important, and sometimes like when I'm in a kind of legato situation, I have to fake the vibrato I want because I can't get my thumb over the neck quick enough, which is probably the way you're not meant to do it, so that's a much better kind of. Yeah, it's much more bluesy if the thumb comes over. Oh, you can go. I've daren't now because I'll break a string, but yeah, I can like just like keep bending till the string breaks, basically. But again, like you want to be practicing your bends to a backing track, don't you? I mean, like I just think backing tracks are the solution to absolutely everything, you know. I should put one on, shouldn't I? I'll stick something on. Have a bit of a noodle. Okay. I fancy trying out that Brett Gorsted. Let's have a look. I'll just stick this one on because otherwise I'll spend too long. Alright, that's what the level's like. Cool those notes on there. Oops, gotten a bit lost there. Oh, forgot to put my whammy bar in. Well, that was all right. Good bit of practice for me this morning. How many ideas? Probably a lot. I suppose it's a good little game to play that, isn't it? What's this one? Oh, this is like, right, this is in Dorian, isn't it? 3 notes. So I'm actually using E minor pentatonic scale substitution, gives me that Dorian sound. Played a load of long notes there. Hi Cold, how are you doing? All right, there you go. There's another improvisation. All right, how we doing? Catch up on the chat. Can you us octave to... I'm not sure what that is, Enzo. Hi, Cold. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Enzo. There's a few things I keep... So I'm doing that pentatonic substitution, but like I keep having brain farts. I go into an E minor pentatonic scale, and the Dorian, right, we're in D minor, so like the Dorian is categorically A minor. So I'm thinking A minor for the scale, and I'm thinking D minor pentatonic, but then I'm using E minor, and then because I'm in E minor, I keep going into muscle memory if I daydream, and then start playing the E minor natural minor scale, and then it goes completely wrong. Because technically that would be the Mixolydian, wouldn't it? So it's like I'm trying to put a major thing on something that's like definitely has to be minor, so it doesn't work. But it's like when you get the phrasing right, using that particular pentatonic substitution where you access that Dorian note, totally gives you. I mean, to be fair. And so I sort of knew it kind of before, but it's all in one space and it's like a good refresher. But right. So, and what's Enzo on about is this. Right. If anybody wants a secret weapon. So, Frank and Barley technique book. Right. It says technique book, but it's not a technique book. It's a method book. Okay. So method gives you a bit of theory, gives you something practical, and then you can just take what you read and then just run with it. But it's brilliant. Everything you need's in one space to get you sort of improvising and doing really, really cool stuff. It's like excellent. And actually, occasionally with guitar students, I use this. So it's pretty good, I've got like one young lad who I teach at the minute, like it's the only beginner lesson I do, right? Just a word of warning. But you started kind of getting there, and we started doing this book, and it's been great. And I think, God, you're so lucky. I wish I had this. The other thing about books aren't they great books? Like, we're surrounded with too many screens, like phones, your laptop, bright lights everywhere, and it's just really nice to actually have a book on a music stand. I was going to do a video on it, actually. I was going to do a video, and the opening was going to be me singing like an adaptation of Jason Donovan, There Are Too Many Broken Hearts in the World. I was thinking of Too Many Screens. Yeah, it's a great way to approach right melodies. But I think, like, at the end of the day, it's the pentatonic scale, isn't it? I always go back to the Leonard Bernstein Harvard lectures. So if anybody's brave enough for that, I can't even spell his name. Leonard Bernstein Harvard lectures. They're all on YouTube, and just do the first one. And it tells you about how he sort of worked out why all the really famous bits of classical music everybody loves. In fact, it's a really important watch, I think, that Leonard Bernstein video. Really important. Oh, Rich, quick. Yeah, it's all going good. I was just talking about this, right? Like, I talk about Leonard Bernstein and then you start appearing, Rich. This is good, isn't it? So, Rich is a virtuosic, I can't even say the word, pianist, I believe, and he'll know all about this. So I was just talking about Leonard Bernstein, the Harvard lectures. I'm sure you're familiar with this, and that, he talks about basically the pentatonic scale and harmonic series and how those two things. Yeah, he's a beast. And how he spotted those constellations of notes in famous pieces of music. Oh, there's Omar. Omar, yay! How you doing? Good to see you on here. Yeah. I mean, that's a bit, I like the more weird stuff, but very good tunes, aren't they? But it's just interesting how it's the law of nature, how, we play one note and then there's a series of notes, and those series of notes, apart from one of them, which you just round up to a note that's actually in tune, because it's like a quarter tone or something, becomes like that pentatonic scale, isn't it? So, yeah, Rich has confirmed. They're all on YouTube. So, Leonard Bernstein, I can't remember, what are they called? There's a title, isn't it? But Leonard Bernstein, if he was alive today, he'd be the ultimate YouTuber. You've got to see these lectures, because just the way that he performs it is absolutely brilliant. I mean, he's... I think it's like the lecture hall is just students sitting on the same level as him, kind of around him. And he's got a nice carpet. He's got like a nice desk, like an oak desk. And he's got his grand piano, and it's just well lit and just brilliant. And the way that he talks is just amazing. It's like this amazing performance. I just think, how do you get that good at like talking and explaining stuff? It's phenomenal. So it's like worth watching from that point of view. That's what if I had all the money in the world and resources, right, I'd have part of my streaming set like that. Yeah, Harvard lectures. Wouldn't that be great if you just basically tuned in instead of having all this kind of stuff going on? It was just a lovely sort of big room with an oak floor, antique table, chandelier. Still have a Kiesel and an amp. Yeah, and just do the lecture thing, That'd be brilliant. Right, so we've had a bit of jamming today. We've talked about habits, and apart from that, if you're new on here, if you can, I've got 10 minutes left, so if anybody's got anything you want to talk about or questions, that would be brilliant. But if you're new on here, do subscribe, and I've got 7 thumbs up, but it would be nice, like, if you've forgotten to give me a thumbs up, do hit the thumbs up button. A Steinway for to demonstrate my David Guetta piano technique. This is how you do it. Like, sometimes I'll do a chord like this. No, I'm not that bad. I can actually do them properly, but you do see that, don't you? It's like Future Music with the dance producers, and you got one of them, like, who's the DJ, who's just like, don't ask me any questions because I haven't got a clue what's going here. I just sit here and go, yeah, man, that's right. Yeah, crank that, turn the kick up. And then you've got the guy who knows a bit about production. Trying to explain what he's doing, and then he plays something and it'll be like ding 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 ding, something like that. Yeah. Do you still play your keyboard or stick to push? Yeah, I play the keyboard, so that's here. So when I'm doing chords and stuff like that, I prefer the keyboard. Everything else is done on push. What's better for rock and metal? Kiesel, Illusionist humbucker, or Lithium humbucker? All right, that's a good question. I wouldn't know, but what I do know is the Fishman McRocklin pickups are definitely my go-to set. Either those, or I like the Fishman Classics. But either way, the McRocklin pickups are just a great sort of blend. I think they're sort of like the classics fused with sort of the Toastner bassy thing, so you get the bright split cleans, and then you get the aggressive, like, in your face sort of metal kind of sound. which is great. So I love those. And then the classic sound is similar, but more mellower. Yeah, the keys are late. In fact, that reminds me, I need to design my new guitar. So, new guitar, I'm going to get another. Oh, this is really important, right? So, here's a question for people. So, black guitar, great. It's an absolute weapon, this. But, I need a brighter looking guitar. So, there's the new shape of this Osiris come out. So, I'm going to get another Osiris designed. Very similar spec to this. But it'll be the new shape. Not 100%, so probably McRocklin pickups, but I'm open to other Fishman sort of ideas here. Possibly might go back to classics. But I need a colour, okay? And I do like the raw tone, so it's definitely going to be a raw tone. But what colour do you think would look good? I was thinking possibly white. Are white guitars a good idea, or do they fade after a while? Will a white guitar remain white? You know, because if you've got a modern guitar like this, you want it to be white forever, don't you? I don't want like a faded white like a Strat or off-white. You just want it to be white. So I was thinking white, but anybody else got any suggestions of what kind of colour? But I need something, right? The thing is because obviously we do a little bit of teaching now, and when we're zoomed in, you know, even if I've got my light here, oof, that's bright, isn't it? Got to give myself a shock. Right, even when I've got my light on, it's very difficult to kind of see in. I just want a little bit more visibility. So obviously white is definitely going to sort that problem out, but then I think, like, is white a good colour to have sort of in this stream? Obviously green wouldn't be a good idea in case I go on a green screen. So guitar colours. What's tropic? What what colours tropic, Sean? That sounds good. Oh, Enzo used to paint guitars for a living. That's good. Expert in the house. Come on, what colour? What colour do you think I should be playing? Because if I had the colour, that would be like most of the battle won here. I'm still going to have like the Purple Heart 5-piece neck. But what colour? Ooh, transparent. Well, I like raw tone. So I'm not sure about like transparent colours. Could be a thing. I mean, it might look a bit yucky. I don't know. Ivory. Okay, Richard. Ivory. Yeah. It'll be swamp. Very likely going to be swamp ash, and there probably won't be any top to it. But I need like another solid go-to guitar. Natural wood colour, like Red Beach, Sugar. Right, okay, now we're getting some good leads here. Does Diesel do that? I don't know. Kiesel. I'm not sure if they do. We're getting some good ideas here. I'm starting to think. Red Beach sort of thing sounds interesting. So I've got blue, black, red. I think yellow will be too. Whoa. I quite like red colours. Red could be a thing. Right. So let's just say McRocklin pickups. It's going to have the black Richelite fretboard, jumbo frets, whatever this radius is, which I can't remember. It's the flat one that's decent. Steel frets, swamp ash body, whammy bar thing. So the pickups will be active. And then the neck. What's this neck? It's like purple heart. Is it walnut? Walnut and purple heart for the neck in 5 pieces. Oh, that's a good point. I like bolt-on necks, but I must admit the through neck's really, really good. I'm just so frightened though if you like break your neck. That's the end of your guitar. It's like in the trash, innit? But I mean, I've got a through neck on that hyperdrive and it's absolutely mint. It's like woof, straight, like no barriers whatsoever. But I mean, this is really good. I mean, I can get up here with that. But they've kind of, one of the updates, I believe, is sort of like kind of dealing with this and also having more accessibility where the horn is. There's only, yeah, I mean, there's not much in the way of you, really. So, I mean, I like bolt-on necks, and I think that's just, you know, that's what I've always played. Yeah. $20, is that what I play, Sean? Sean will know my specs on my guitar better than I know. So that's the thin one, the 20 radius, I'm assuming. Silver. No. Or gold. I'm not keen on that one. Gold hardware. No. I'm only having gold hardware as like if my entire house has gold hardware. Oh, good. Thank you, Sean. Add a Sustainiac. Bolt-on neck. Yeah, cool. Right, okay, so important stuff. So do give some more thumbs up if you're on here. Also, do subscribe if you can. And that brings us close to our month of looking at habits. It's been pretty relaxed today. It's been good. Next Monday, we're going to be hitting the ground running, and it's going to be all about environment. Now, this is the thing. So if you're not on the Discord, join the Discord. The link is in the about. Join the Discord. If there's a problem, just send me an email. The email is in the description. If anybody's interested in coaching one-to-one group or guitar lessons, heaven forbid, then, there's some availability. Do give me a shout there. And what else is there? There's like so much to do. There's the Patreon if you want to support me as well. That's very good. So Patreon, you can go on there, join for free, or you can support the channel for $4 a month. But more importantly, I want to see everybody's studio. If you can take a picture of your studio, okay, and share it with the group, that would be brilliant. So I'd like lots of like before pics if possible. If you don't want to share it with the group, send it to me. Just send it to me like as a message on Discord or something, or email me it. But I'd love to see your studios, especially yours, Mac. I want to see your studio. Richard, I want to see your studio. Yours will be like built for, I know yours will be like absolutely all about the purpose. Enzo, I need to see your studio. Sean, I'd like some more shots of your studio. I see bits. But anybody else who would like to send pictures in of their studios, I'll not show them on the live or anything like that, don't worry, unless you say it's okay. but I'd like to see what they're like, and then I'd like to see how, you know, they improve over the month that we're doing environment, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, Wednesday, there'll be a live stream Wednesday evening where I'll be picking a guitar up and shredding, basically. So that'll be a thing. And then as an optional thing, there'll be something on Saturday as well. I know there'll be a Saturday stream, and there'll be some sort of lesson. Okay, but there's also a YouTube lesson going up today as well. So there's like absolutely tons of stuff going on. So it's been a blast, everybody, and I'll see you Wednesday. All right, I'm off for my walk now. Bye.